to him about that, how he fishes shallow water, how he finds he's out of the way. I think weren't you guys out fishing today?
Kind of.
More like trying to pull something. Welcome to Bass University Live on a Tuesday night. We've got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. I'm really excited about our guest tonight. We have Frank Talley, a sophomore on the Bassmaster Elite, fresh off of his Elite Series win, his first win on Lake Guntersville. And it obviously was really special to him. But from my perspective, it was special in a lot of other ways. He did some things that I'm really impressed about. I love to see guys do this when they pull an audible and they go fishing new water that, they move to they pattern fish. They move to areas that they didn't practice in. It's such a bold move. It's so easy to say that's what you want to do. But man, is it so hard to do when the pressure's on, when the money's all on the line, the point. And boy, he did it, and he did it flawlessly. Started out with a monster 5-pounder right off the bat and did wonderful after that. We're going to be talking about that strategy, what goes on between the ears, how to do that. And I'm looking forward to Frank enlightening us on where his mind was and how he was able to pull that off. And we're also going to be diving in with some of the specifics. I know we used a vibrating jig to really dominate, as well as a frog. And we're going to get really detailed about all those components. So that's what's happening on the Bass University Live tonight. And Frank's going to be on with us in just a few minutes. And I see professional fish head, promotions director. I messed up your title already over here at Bass U, JK.
I don't know. You tried to give me so many of them that we just decided to stick with professional fish head.
well, JK's with us. I know you guys know him. He's been on the show lots of times before, and behind the scenes at Bass University, there's nobody more important than JK, and it's awesome to have you on the show tonight, buddy.
It's great to be here, man. Looking forward to getting inside the mind of Frank Talley after that incredible, steady comeback win.
Win.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, did he move up every day? He at least moved up the last couple days.
Yeah,
but
I know
it was impressive
to the last day, and he had a 4-pound deficit to overcome, and it was incredible. So, yeah, we'll look forward to talking to him shortly. And we've also, of course, pushing the buttons, and I'm really impressed because we had some technical glitches showing up earlier in BTC. You got us up and running on time.
I believe so.
We haven't checked the feed yet.
It can only go downhill from here.
That is correct. Everything seems to be good. So yeah, it'll plummet shortly, like a 1 ounce tungsten, like a 1 ounce tungsten.
1 ounce tungsten weight. Well done. I know there was a few glitches there, and of course I can see Riz. He's going to be handling the IMs, giving away prizes, and on the show with us as always. Riz, how are you, buddy?
I am doing great, Pete. Excited for another Bass University Live. Talk to Frank Talley. This is a guy that came up through the ranks and earned his way to where he is, and word is he might have thrown the chatterbait a little bit in this tournament. So I'm excited to hear, he's doing some different stuff with it. Always good to learn.
Do you like throwing the chatterbait?
No, I've actually never. I don't own one. I don't know much about that, so I'm excited to learn.
Yeah, I think of all the other lures in your tackle box, I think the chatterbait's getting used 80 to 90% of the time.
It seems like that. It seems like that.
It does seem that way.
Yep. We should pair up, man. You can throw the chatterbait, I throw the Senko, man. That's like a winning combination.
I'm ready, Pete.
Yeah. Cool. That's cool, Pete. Yeah, you guys should hook up. That's great. How long have I been asking you to fish? Whatever, dude.
Hey, we almost hooked up this past weekend. And Riz, did your plumbing hold together?
Yes, it did. We everything's been since squared away, and I got my boat back from some detailing this weekend, Pete, from our guy Jesse McGee. He's a friend of the show, and
He's the best.
he's a Bass University TV guy, and man, he made the old White Triton look pretty much brand new. I ran it on Sunday, and it's I'm kind of in the thoughts of whether I want to sell it or keep it, and it's making it hard to want to let it go because it looks so good right now, but we'll see.
I saw the pics. Looks great. Jesse does amazing work. He's done all of our boats from time to time, and
Yep.
But there's a lot going on, guys, at Bass University. We dropped the Kevin Van Dam master class on jerkbait fishing, and I was privileged enough to be in the boat when that was filmed. And there's a lot of information there, guys, that really helped me and enlightened me, as always. When the goat speaks, we all have to listen. So that's available on Bass U TV. If you're a subscriber, you got to go check it out. If you're not a subscriber, use the code BASSU Live 30 days free going on. And that's always available to you guys to come and check it out, man. It's really going to help you become a better angler. And we have a lot of prizes tonight. If you're watching at home, if we use your question on the air, we're going to be hooking you up with a lot of Bass U swag. And I also want to let everybody know you're watching us over on Facebook, and I see a lot of people over there right now. And I see Mike, I see Tyler, I see Ron, Tracy, John. See you guys. Like us, share us over there, and we have a great prize for you as well. So like it, share it. Riz, what are they going to win on that contest and all the rest?
So tonight for our Facebook like and share, we're giving away a $50 Missile Baits jig package. That's going to be a Flambeau box that's loaded to the teeth with missile jigs, getting you squared away for your jig game moving forward. And also tonight we're going to have a grand prize for one Bass U TV subscriber. Now that gift pack is going to include some missile jigs, some Lunker Hut swim baits, VMC hooks, a Bass University official hat, and a Rod Warrior rod sleeve. So that's where the juice really is, guys. And you got to be a Bass U TV subscriber to get in on that challenge. So if you're not already signed up, head over to bassu.tv, use the code BULive30, and we're going to hook you up with 30 days free access, unlimited, to over 700 of the best bass fishing videos on the earth. These things are geared and designed to help you catch more big bass. So now's the time, guys. Use code BULive30, get signed up, join the program, start catching more big bass.
Awesome. I just placed a big order with TH Marine for some future giveaways for
Nice.
our Bass University guys. We've got some hydro waves we're going to be giving away.
Oh yeah.
I see the TH prop nut that is amazing, that really helps you reduce vibration. I see it on the table there. We've got a lot of those coming, some G juice, a ton of TH products we're going to be giving away on future shows as well.
45 years, Pete. That's how long TH Marine's been doing it. 45. They got a 45-year anniversary sale going on right now, actually.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I also want to mention that they also have an amazing guide program. So go sign up for that if you are a guide. I know that is a new program for them, and I'm participating in it, and I want to invite you guys to go over and check it out. I also see Rod Warrior USA rod sleeves that are going to be given away as well. And
That's right.
And we got a cool video coming up that we're going to be releasing on social this week, where they generated. I have the brand new Minn Kota Raptors on my boat, and they're amazing shallow water anchors. And Rod Warrior custom fitted a cover for those, which are amazing. And we'll show you the video and images of all that stuff. And it's going to be available over on rodwarriorUSA.com.
So Pete, on the message board, we have Randall already chiming in, and Randall got his prize pack last week from the previous show, and he said he's already caught fish on all of the baits that we sent him.
No way.
Yeah. If
Here,
that
Randall.
doesn't tell you need to be signed up, I don't know what does,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Teach you
right.
how to catch them, and we're giving you the baits.
I don't
Come
even
on.
care if it's true.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, It's great. We get so much positive feedback. People love getting those gift packs, and they love getting the face shields that we send them. And we're getting a lot of great feedback, and appreciate you guys being part of the program. And we've got a lot more Bash University content that's coming. We release, of course, 2 new pieces of educational content every week, at least 2, and a lot more than that. So Kevin's coming out. We've got some tremendous stuff. I actually did a punching seminar coming off the Potomac River tournament, so that's going to be released real soon. If you want to get started punching, if you're confused about it, looking to get confident in it, that's going to be coming real soon to Bash U TV. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be bringing Frank Talley in, and we're going to be talking to him about his amazing win. So without any further ado, we'll take this quick break. If you're not signed up to Bash University TV, go ahead and sign up right now. And we're also going to be zooming in. If we like your question enough, we're going to be zooming in one of our Bash U TV subscribers.
Yes.
To ask a question to Frank. So that's a new segment that we're going to try to work out tonight. So get your questions in. First, go over on the break. Get signed up to Bash U TV if you're not already. It's free right now for 30 days. And get your questions into us over on the IM board. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Frank Talley on Bash U Live. Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Wormman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
Every moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail happens every time. The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter. Not good. Motor oil. Gotta keep the rust off all these baits. WD-40. Gotta keep the rust off. Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
I got to look. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Bass University Live. We're very excited tonight. We have fresh off of his big win on Guntersville in the Bassmaster Elite Tournament. He's a sophomore on the Elites. He's a Central Open points champion, Bassmaster Classic qualifier, and of course, now Elite Series champion, Mr. Frank Talley. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you all. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Man, it's great. I know, and during break, I was talking to Ed. I know you're practicing. I know how intense practice can be. It's awesome that you took time to come and talk to the folks here at Bass U.
Hey, anything for you guys. I watch you all the time. A lot of informative information and also some fun and games, so it's all good. I like it.
That's awesome. Another viewer, JK. We have another Elite Series angler that watches Bass University. That's amazing.
We have at least one.
Surprise, surprise. More like at least 40.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff here, and man, that was awesome. It was an awesome win. There's just so much to talk about. But one of the things when you were coming across stage that I thought was cool, and it's the first time I had heard anybody phrase it like this, you're going to have a Talley hoedown if you won that tournament. Did you have a Talley family hoedown, and what was that like?
Well, what we did is we went over to the local sushi restaurant in Scottsboro, Alabama. So you can imagine what that was like, and yeah, it was actually it wasn't bad. I was surprised, but after 2 bottles of sake, heck, it didn't matter.
I heard that. I heard that.
If they were serving burnt chicken, it would have tasted good,
After you got a big blue trophy, 2 bottles of sake, man, it's all good.
That's right, and then the blue trophy went home with my wife. She, her, and my kids came down, and my son-in-law and my grandbaby. And so they took it back along with some stuff they had given away, like some jump boxes and stuff. So it's like, I just take that home and we'll see it here in a couple of weeks.
Right on.
See, I'm different. I think I would be sleeping with that trophy through this week at Santee.
Well, be honest with you, my wife wanted it more than I did as far as the hardware. She's like, you can have the money. I just want the hardware. That's all I want. That's all I dreamed of. The money spends, but that trophy never leaves.
That's right.
Right.
That is true. And I think it was awesome. I know your family, boy, they live a long way away. I heard it was like a 14-hour drive to come and see you. So, man, that kind of support, man, that's got to make a difference when you're out on tour.
It does. She holds down the home front, and we have a hydraulic business also that we own, and so she takes care of that along with my nephew, and then my daughter. She anything my wife needs, she holds down a job too. She's a social worker, but anything my wife needs while I'm on the road, they all work as a unit and a team, and it's just awesome to know that the home is taken care of, and all I have to do is fish and concentrate on finding some fish and doing good in these tournaments. So that's a big thing. And my boy with the virus and stuff, he's in his senior year of high school, so he's traveling with me because he can do all his schoolwork on Zoom actually. So he's been a big help, getting up in the morning and stuff, and he handles the boat stuff. And then all I have to do is just get my rods and stuff all rigged up. Because I don't care how good he is. I'm not letting him tie my stuff on.
That's right.
You got to have the last say on that. I don't blame you. I don't blame you there. But the story is, you got quite a story. I know you're a family man. You've said it, and people have talked about it a lot. And something that I heard said that kind of struck me is that, your family came to you and basically they had an intervention. They said, saying, we want you to get out on tour. How was that? Can you describe what that was like?
Yeah. What had happened, Pete, was I kind of had done, everything that, you can kind of do in the local and regional stuff, you know, and I just get burnt out fishing the same lakes for the last 25 years. I'm sure you're the same way up there. You know, it's just, it's whoever finds them that day wins. And there's really, you know, everybody knows everybody's stuff up there. There's no secrets. And so it's like, I wanted to expand my horizons. I've always had the aspirations of being a pro, and, you know, but with the family and stuff like that, I mean, when you have kids, in my opinion, you know, this is just my beliefs. I mean, you're there to raise them. I wanted to coach them in baseball, softball, football. So that's what I did. That was more important to me than chasing this green fish, even though the green fish was, you know, a part of my heart and stuff growing up. I mean, I was fishing team tournaments with my dad at 5 and 6 years old. So it's like,
wow,
you know, yeah, I mean, I've been, you know, I grew up on the West Coast. So, I mean, I fished against Aaron Martens and his mom and all that growing up. I mean, me and him are 2 years different. So, I mean, you know, we grew up together fishing against each other on all the local team stuff, you know, me and my dad and him and his mom and stuff. And, you know, guys like John Murray, I mean, all the guys from the West Coast, you know, Rich Tauber, some of them old names that you bring back that you don't even, you know, haven't heard from in a long time. And so, you know, everything was right. The business was going good at home, you know, and so my wife and the kids, you know, set me down one day, said, "Hey, we need to speak with you." And I'm like, "Okay, what's the deal?" You know, last thing on my mind was that, you know, and they're like, "Well, we just seen that the Opens schedule was released today. So, you know, we want you to go fish the Opens in 2018. And I said, I don't know. And they're like, "No, it's not like we're not asking you, we're telling you." So I'm like, "Okay." She's like, my wife's like, "I'll handle it. We'll get the deposits paid, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Okay." So I went out there 2018, and that was in like October of 2017. 18 rolls around, and I just started fishing the Central Division Opens. And that was the year that they had the like Angler of the Year, and you had a championship on Lake Table Rock and all that. It was like that one year that they did 5 tournaments. And the first one was at Ross Barnett. It was just, I mean, gun ho from there. I mean, the rest is history. I just had a really, really blessed year, you know, and I caught them in every tournament. And out of the 5 tournaments, I made the top 12 4 out of the 5 times. And so it was just a great, and that was a year they paid actually to Angler of the Year that year they paid me $17,000. So that funded me for the Elite Series for the following year to get me started on a couple of deposits, you know. So it was, and money isn't the issue there, but it just helped out, you know what I mean? So I was like, it was just incredible. And they've been behind me. I mean, they drove every one of those Opens that I made that top 12 they drove to on the final day, on day 3. So they would trek. I mean, the farthest one was Logan Martin there in Alabama. And, you know, and so the best family support in the world. I know a lot of these guys have great family support, but I have top notch. I mean, the love for my family I have is just second to none. And that's what makes me do what I want to do, because I don't want them to say, you know, "Here's my dad, Frank Talley, he's a professional fisherman." Okay. No, I wanted them to say, "Frank Talley's, you know, my dad's Frank Talley, a professional fisherman and an Elite Series champion," you know, and that's what I ended up getting. You know, if I do something, I want to try to do it 110% or not do it at all.
Well, it's amazing, and that support is amazing, because that 14-hour drive, they jumped in that truck. You were in 6th place. The bettors, the betting line was like, well, there's no way he's coming from 4 pounds back to win this tournament, you know. So the Talley family was coming to support you, you know, no matter what.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they know I have a little tendency to sandbag. When I tell them I'm not doing very well, they're like, they'll ask me their famous question after the weigh-in every day is, when they FaceTime me, is, "Are you out of fish, or do you still have some more?" And I told them, I said, "I got plenty this time. I really do." So they kind of knew, but I knew I needed those big bites. You know, if those big bites didn't happen, then we're not talking here today, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's certainly the magic, and man, was it magic. And you know, I want to dive into that. I mean, we're Bass University. We want to talk about how this went down, because I was, you know, I mentioned this in the open. I'm amazed. I'm impressed by you on the decision you made, especially on that final day, because you got your family driving 14 hours, you got all this pressure, and you're like, I'm going to a new area. I'm going to an area I haven't casted to yet. That is winning strategy if you can do it, and very few people can say they're going to do it, but doing it is another thing. And you did that on the final day of this tournament. Brand new water.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, you've fished on the professional level, and you've been successful. You've won, and so that's what you have to do to win these tournaments. These tournaments are so hard to win, so hard. I mean, everybody is so good, and you have to change something up. I knew that I could catching a limit wasn't going to be an issue that day, fishing the stuff I'd already fished previous days. There was tons of fish on it, but the problem was getting those 4 and 5 pound bites. And I told my family, I said, I would need to catch 4 over 4 pounds today to make up that deficit. I said that, or 2 4s and a 5, and they have to still slip a little bit for me to do it. And when I pulled up to that spot in the first cast, I don't even think that was on camera because it was just a dink. It was 11 incher on the first cast. The fifth cast later, that was at 5'11", and I'm like, okay, the rodeo started. Fire up the wagons, baby. We're fitting to bring this home. I got 7 hours and 55 minutes left, and I can do this. So I chugged up that bank about a quarter mile, and by the end of that quarter mile, I had my limit, and then my sixth fish was another 4.5. Was a 4.5, and I'm like, so I culled out one of the smaller ones, and it was just. That started it off. That set the tone, and but making those gut decisions, to get back to your question, I'm sorry, Pete, is you have to take those chances, because if you don't, you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt and asking, what would have been or what could have been. And I knew that spending an hour on that bank wasn't going to hamper my ability to catch fish later in the day on my other spots, because I was getting, bites all day long. So why not take a gamble? It's not the end of the world. If it doesn't work out, I still have 6.5 hours left to do what I need to do. But changing up like that usually can result in either a hero or a zero. And that's what it ended up being, was a big fish deal. And I needed those. And I got 2 of those big bites on that stretch. And I was like, so thankful. I mean, I was like, wow. And that 5'11", I boat flipped, and
yes, both flipping 5'11s. Let's go.
And I'm like, it get pumped me up because I'm in 17-pound test fluorocarbon. I thought it was about a 4.5, when it came up. And I don't sit there and look at them and kiss them. I'm ready to put them in the boat. So I'm like, it had a big head on it, but I didn't realize it was that big. So when I boat it, I was like, oh, I got lucky on that one. So.
Get your hands on it, and you're like, why did I do that? But it's awesome.
I know, because you're like working with like 17-pound tests, right? Isn't that what I saw?
Yes.
Man, that's marginal, flipping a 5'11" on 17.
Well, they call me one of the nicknames that they have for me on tour. Well, the guys that we talk to and stuff and visit with is Boat Flipper Talley, because like at the Northern Swing, I was flipping those 5-pound smallmouth on 15 and 17-pound tests on the same bait. All of them. I don't cradle them like that. No. And Zona asked me one time. He said, "Why are you throwing such big baits for them smallmouth?" And I said, "Because I don't like to cull. I just want to catch it one time. I don't like that to get in that live well. I'm a big boy. Getting up and down on that live well is just a pain."
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you boat flipping a 5'11" is like most people boat flipping like a 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it goes in proportion. So.
Hey, well, on day 4, you were moving around that boat like you were floating on air.
Heck yeah.
You were like stuck on water. It looked like it was so smooth and easy.
A lot of adrenaline. A lot of
That's
adrenaline.
awesome.
Yeah, sure.
Well, take me to that decision. Like, how did you identify this area? Like, you've been driving by this area. Did you pick it off of satellite mapping? Just look at it visually. Like, where did this come into play?
Honestly, Pete, what it was is I ran by it every day, at least twice a day, sometimes more, depending on how many times I zigzagged back and forth up and down the river. I started my first spot every morning would be about past the BP Comer Bridge, I think is what they call it. It'd be my starting point be about 4 miles up past that bridge, and then I would start. But I had seen it back and forth, and the only thing that the reason why I made that decision, Pete, bottom line was because I didn't see one person on it in the first 3 days, and I was like, no pressure. Those fish haven't seen anything thrown at them at least for 3 days. No locals have been on it. Nothing. It's like it didn't look special. It didn't look special, but I wasn't fishing what the bank looked like on, above water. I was fishing the eelgrass, and I know we'll get into that, I'm sure, but the eelgrass edge. And I'm like, it has it. There hasn't been any pressure on it. This is a chance to catch big fish right here. There's a good chance that some of these fish haven't been touched and messed with. And so what an opportunity to try it. And it was so foggy. We were in a fog delay that morning. And when I got up there, it was even foggier because the lake was warmer. Cooler. So it wasn't near as bad on the fog in the main lake, but up there, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. You could see some of the video. It was really foggy. And so I pulled in there, not snuck in there. I passed it, and I did the old second get, the old flip the U-ball, came to that point right there.
No Randy Howell move.
Yeah, exactly. On the same lake. It's crazy. And just commenced to catching them. And I'm like, that was the best decision I ever made as far as professional bass fishing goes, no doubt.
Well, it was truly an amazing decision. And guys, if you're watching at home, Bass University TV, get your questions in for Frank. You want to talk about his big win? You want to talk about his patterns, eelgrass? We're going to get into that. Vibrating, jigs, frogs, all that stuff. How to make tough tournament decisions. Get your questions together, and we're going to get them. If we get them passed over to Frank, we use it on the air. We're going to be hooking you guys up with a cool prize. But I saw the eelgrass was a factor. It was the dominant factor, and there's so much hydrilla, there's so much other vegetation and mats everywhere. But you somehow dialed into the eelgrass. That was special.
Yeah, Pete, in Florida, as as well as I do, eelgrass is a player there, especially on the St. John's, and it hasn't had any in a while. But when I seen that eelgrass and down the lake, in the main lake, it was always choking everything out down there, and on the south end of Guntersville and the Miracle Mile and all that. In other words, there isn't a whole lot of hydrilla left in that lake for the fact that the eelgrass is choking everything out. So those fish have gotten used to, in the last 5 or 6 years, of using that eelgrass really well. So when I seen that eelgrass and I seen it slow taper down from the bank edge, it'd come out about 15 feet, about this far from the surface, and then it would make a wall. It dropped straight off on the channel edge of the main river channel, and it did that for literally 25 or 30 miles. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't matter what stretch of bank you really you fished on, because it was the exact same. So what I would do is I just set my trolling motor on high and fire cast until I ran into them. Sometimes it would take 5 casts, sometimes it'd take a quarter mile. But that eelgrass, what it does is it filters that water. And so all that current coming down from Nickajack Dam, it filters that water out and it turns it a clearer, of course, more oxygen. And what was in that eelgrass was perch, brim, same deal, some small thread fin that were like 2.5, 3 inches long. But the big kicker is there would every so often, about every half hour, 45 minutes, I'd see a school of gizzard shad, 6 to 8 inch gizzard shad, cruising that edge, and there'd be 8 or 10 of them in a school of gizzards. And I'm like, Mama didn't raise no fool. I know what them fish are there. You know what I mean? Them big fish are around here for that reason, is to eat those big gizzards. And there was 2 of them I caught this week that's what they had. They had, the tails sticking out of their throat. And I pulled them out, and they were like, 7, 8 inch gizzards. They were big gizzards that they. So I'm like, I keyed in, and people were like, I'm sure they're, maybe listening and saying, well, why didn't you throw a crankbait, or why didn't you throw a spinnerbait? Well, the reason why I didn't throw like that type of stuff is because with a spinnerbait, you know, you need wind, you know, predominantly, especially in clear water. It's tough to get a bite on a spinnerbait when you got, when I say clear water, 4 to 5 foot visibility is what that area had. And we didn't have any wind. We had current, which is good. And you could probably catch a few fish on a spinnerbait, no doubt. I love to throw a spinnerbait more than I love to eat, and that's saying a lot, you know. But I just, you know, and cranking, you just couldn't free that eelgrass. You know, that eelgrass gets on them trebles, and it just, you can rip it, jerk it, and it's always gonna foul that crank up. So that Strike King Thunder Cricket was the, you know, bladed jig was the way to go. I mean, you could free it, you know, it'd get around a little bit of the blade and it'd stop vibrating, you'd snap it and it'd come free, and then you had the rest of your cast. And I don't know how many times I snapped it free, and of course you got a bite, you know. But that
is that what you were trying to do, Frank? Were you trying to get it hung up and snap it? Were you looking for that to create strikes, or were you just letting it happen?
Honestly, I in my heart of hearts, I wasn't trying to, because what I think the fish were doing is I think they were sitting in that eelgrass wall, that edge, you know, with their faces pointed straight out. And when that bait would run by them, they'd come out and they'd nail it. Wow. They were using that eelgrass as a current break, you know, and there'd be a little point of an eelgrass that would come out, and I'd catch it every now and then, snap it. And sometimes I would get bit like that, no doubt.
Right. Okay.
A lot of it was just on a straight reel, suspended. It was probably, you know, that Thunder Cricket half ounce was probably running 4 foot or 5 foot under the surface, right down that edge, and they just come out of the side of that eelgrass and eat it. And I think that's
a fun bite when they're on that edge, because when they bite it, they just have nowhere to go but sideways, you know, and your line just goes from there to there in like 0.1 seconds. I love it.
You're exactly right. I mean, sometimes, you know, you just feel this vibration stop, but your line would go slack because they were already coming with the current.
Yeah.
With the current, then you just reel as fast as you could and just lean into them, you know.
Yeah.
So bringing it with the current was key, because that's what they were letting it do all the work. Because classic, you know.
And that bringing it with the current, I see guys all the time on, you know, river fishing, and they'll fish, you know, with the current.
Fishing
and
lazy.
That's just the lazy man's way. I mean, that's just, you're taking your percentage down, way down to get bit, you know. I mean,
Frank, so talk about that a little bit. Obviously the grass was laying over in the direction of the current, right? And
correct.
You know, if anybody has ever fished a chatterbait, you know that if you try to rip your bait through the grass and it's coming against the way it's laying, it's a whole lot harder than if it's at that angle.
That it's already laying over, correct, exactly. And the other thing is I only fish, this is funny, a lot of people didn't even know this, I only fish the right-hand side of the river going up. In other words, I'm right-handed, so when I'm roll casting, you know, I'm right on the parallel edge of it. I can cast left-handed, you know, back, no problem. But why? I was getting all the bites on the right side too, so I'm like, heck, make it easy for me, you know, so I could get right on that edge, just roll cast it down. So that was funny. So I don't even know what's on the left-hand side. I'm sure there's just that many fish after Chickamauga, you know.
It puts you in a good spot from a hook set perspective too, because you're in your strong side hook set when you get bit on that side.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's really the big thing. Is I have a weak left hand, you know. So you know, you can do it, but that right hand, that's just bread and butter right there. And so that's that, and just that roll cast of 30, 40 feet up ahead of you just was so you get to just keep it right on that line, you know. And it's
all about
perfect.
the angle.
Yes, sir. Exactly, all about the angle.
Let me ask you this. Everybody that has ever fished or watched a professional tournament on Lake Guntersville knows that you can't win a tournament on Lake Guntersville up the river. What happened? How did you get that so right and everybody was so wrong?
Two things, Pete. Fall time of the year, you know, and before they got into those mats, and that was the kicker. We had some cold, but it hadn't cooled off enough to put those fish really thick in those mats, those 4 and 5 pound frog fish that everybody was banking on.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was fishing pressure. That the from the Miracle Mile, as they call it, and a lot of people might not know what that is, but that's, you know, from the BP Comer Bridge down to Goose Pond, that area right in there, you could walk across the boats. it was just a bunch of boat locals. And then we had that Spro tournament up there too. On the final day, that was a 300 boat Spro tournament there. So, I mean, you know, and you talk about those mats getting pounded, all they could throw was a frog. And so, you know, yeah, they were just hammering it. So I was like, you know, in practice, me and my roommate, Brad Watley, which is, you know, another touring pro, we were like, we'd rather just spend our time up here, you know, and I think we can just pound it out. And I knew that we only needed maybe 12 or 13 pounds a day to make the cut. And sometimes I try to explain to people, professional bass fishing, you want to win every one you enter, no doubt. But sometimes you just have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I was like, 12.5 pounds will get me another cut. I'll, you know, make it closer to the classic. You know, I'm in contention. And we'll just take our money and go to the next one and just get by, because it was tough practice, no doubt. And we didn't find that situation until about 2 hours before final practice was over. And then I got 3 bites up there. One was a 3-pounder and 2 were just like 14 or 15 and a half, 16-inch 2-pounders. So I didn't know what I'd really found, you know, until I got up there the next day. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I got something here. I didn't know if it was enough the winning spot area, but I just knew that I could stay up there in contention in the top 10 all week, you know. And after the second day, that's where it ended up happening.
That's great, because I think a lot of people are under the misconception that you got to go, you know, to win, you got to catch 6-pounders all day long, but it's most oftentimes you just got to lay up. You know, you got to catch fish that get you close enough that you're in striking distance.
Yeah, exactly, Pete. You know, everything out here is all about consistency. And it's just like, you know, for an example, the Santee Cooper tournament that's fitting to take off on Thursday. Yeah, you can catch big ones out here right now. I mean, there's no doubt there's going to be a lot of 6 and 7 pounders weighed in. There's no doubt. But the problem is getting fish to go with it. It's not as easy as everybody thinks. And so I'll take my 13.5 pounds a day and take a top 30 check and go, you know, and let's move on to chick, you know, because that's just, sometimes you just have to know when to lay up and when to go for the gusto. And you really don't know to go for the gusto until you're into like day 3. Then you'll kind of know where you're sitting. But the first day, they'll drop bombs on you, 20-pound sacks and all this. Like, man, where have I been? I'm out in left field. But then the next day, let them back it up. You know, and that's the difference. That brings the cream to the crop. When they can back it up the second day, then you start worrying yourself, you know. Yep.
I remember, and I've told this story before about Lake Toho. I came in with 15 pounds and thought I was going to be in top 10, and somebody told me that the winning weight was 45 pounds on day 1. I thought, yeah, that's doc talk. They're just busting my chops because I'm from New Jersey, you know. And then the next guy, second is 40 pounds, third is 40 pounds, fourth is 40 pounds. And I couldn't believe it. I brought a knife to a gunfight that day. You know, but Santee has that potential too, right? Where I've heard of the reports of 30-pound bags, 40-pound bags and stuff coming in there. But fall is tough, and it's tough. It's going to be tough all around. So that's a great philosophy that you have. I think it's a strong one to do well in these tournaments.
Well, yeah, in the fall, you have to keep about 20 rods on deck, you know, and you might catch 7 fish on 7 different techniques or baits. You know, that's just fall fish, and you just don't know because the fish are moving daily depending on what the weather's doing. You know, if the water temperature is dropping, they're falling shad more back into the creeks. You know, you just kind of, that's the time of year that you're just looking for forage, and wherever the shad base is, that's where the fish are going to be right behind them, you know. And so it sounds easy, but it's not, you know as well as I do. It's not as easy as it just sounds. Just find the shad and you'll find the bass. Well, that's to an extent, but you also have to find their travel routes and stuff like that, what they like to use, you know, to follow that shad back to the creek. So, you know, fall fishing's different. You don't need that type of weight for these, you know, a one-day fruit jar tournament or club tournament, no doubt, 25 pounds or whatever for one day. And I was surprised we didn't see a 25-pound sack the first day, no doubt, you know, because it's Guntersville, and I expected it. But with 19 leading it the first day, I'm like, okay, there is a legitimate shot that we can actually maybe do something after 3 or 4 days, because that's usually your best day is that first day. And when 19 pounds was leading it, I'm like, that isn't as bad as I thought. I mean, I had 14 and I never got bit by a big one the first day. So I had 14 the first day. And so I'm thinking, I'm only 5 pounds off, and I didn't have a kicker, and he had a 6 or 7 pounder to have 19. So I'm like, okay. So I'll just back it up. The next day was 16 something. And then all of a sudden, I jumped all the way up into 9th place after the second day. So it's like, there you go. Okay. With 16. Then the next day, 15 something, you get into 6th place, and then nobody's even paying attention to you. You're just flying under the radar, and then boom,
That's awesome.
That's a tremendous win. And I hope, and I know it's going to be this way, because once you win, things change inside of an angler, and the confidence to win again at that level is easier to obtain. So we're going to be rooting for you here at Santee, and hope you get on one of these streaks and knock the lights out of them.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome, Pete. No doubt. Yeah. I mean, I just take it in stride. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That you've won them before, and that, if it's meant to be, there's nothing you can do to stop it. And if it's not meant to be, everything goes wrong,
I read that. I read that you said that. I think it was in the Blaster, Kumar's piece. And I couldn't agree more. I'm reading this and I'm like, man, it's like I just said this because it is. I call it like a freight train, out of control, a win. It's like people say you got to be perfect and everything has to happen just right, but for me, it's not that way. I lose fish, but it's the freight train's out of control, and you still wind up in the winner's circle, and it's the other way. It's like no matter what you do, you can't get yourself in the winner's circle when it's not your chance.
That was me last year. I mean, no doubt I couldn't hit my butt with both hands. I mean, it was just a free fall. The last tournament of the year was, where I kind of started straightening the bus out, and had a 13th at 10 killer on that makeup tournament from Fort Gibson. And that led into this year, and it's just been good this whole year, and like on day 3, to an example of what we're talking about, if it's meant to be, day 3, my boat motor, the shift actuator computer went out in it. So I was broke down at 11 o'clock. Well, I call Tripp, the tournament director, and then I call my traveling partner, Brad, and I say, hey, dude, I need your boat. Bring it out to me. And he's like, okay. I said, take the graphs off it, so you don't have to delete your waypoints. Just take the graphs. I don't need the graphs. Just bring me a boat. He says, okay. While I'm waiting for him, I'm sitting there with just a trolling motor in my boat, and I catch 2 3¼ pounders while I'm waiting on him. So that's, you know what I mean? I broke down, and I just start fishing up the bank right there and catch 2 3¼ cull out a couple. And I'm like, so that's the type of stuff that when you can't derail it. I mean, I'm broke down and I'm still catching decent fish, so.
You're so far ahead of the fish. You're on the dominant pattern. It's like bad stuff can happen to you, but you're doing the right thing, and there's nothing that's going to stop it.
Stop it. Yes, sir. Exactly. I agree 110%.
Yeah. Well, I want to give our subscribers at Bass University a chance to ask you a few questions, Riz. I'm sure you have some in the queue for Frank, and let's let our people talk to Frank.
For sure, Pete. So the first question we're going to use comes from Mr. Dewstrag, and Dewstrag wants to know, what were the details of the setup that you used for that chatterbait? Rod, reel, line, etc.
Okay. I appreciate the question. That's a good question.
Who answered that?
Dewstrag.
What is it?
Dewstrag.
All right.
Dew, like Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew.
Dewstrag.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Dew. All right. What I do if I'm fishing, there's 2 rods that I use depending on how I'm fishing the Thunder Cricket or a bladed jig. The first one, the one that I was using for this setup, because I was making pretty decent long cast and there wasn't any heavy cover, so to speak. I used a Lew's Magnum hammer, which is a 7.3 medium heavy. It's got a fast tip, then it goes into backbone about 2 or 3 foot down the blank. And so it lets the fish eat the bait really well before you lean into them and set the hook. The reel that I use for all my vibrating jigs is a Lew's Custom Pro, but the gear ratio is the important part. I use a 6-8 to 1. I don't like a 7-5 or an 8, and I don't like a 5, 3 to 1 or whatever. It's a 6-8 to 1.
Preach.
If I want to move it faster, I reel it faster. If I want to move it slower, I reel it slower. But a medium retrieve, because everybody's pretty the same, you catch yourself doing the same thing. That 6-8 to 1 is just like perfect for that bladed jig. So, and then the line was a 17-pound fluorocarbon. It happens to be Strike King tour grade, the new Strike King fluorocarbon out, but 17-pound, my roommate Brad, he likes to throw his chatter on 20-pound, so each his own. He uses the same speed reel I do and the same kind of rod setup, but his is 20 pounds, so it's whatever you feel comfortable with. But in open water or anything with sparse cover, 17-pound, they can't break it. Heck, we talked about earlier, I boat flipped a 5.11 and it was no problem. As long as your line's good, you can do it. And then I actually clipped this off my rod today. I've been throwing this around, but all it is, Mr. Dew, is a Strike King Thunder Cricket, green pumpkin. It probably didn't show real well, but that's a green pumpkin with a green pumpkin blade on it right there. Half ounce. And then this is a Rage Swimmer by Strike King, just a 3 3¼ inch paddle tail swim bait. I ran out of these and I went to a what's called the Rage blade minnow, just a Strike King blade minnow, and it's just all it is just got a forked tail like a shad versus the paddle tail on it. This set up a lot of people so they know with the paddle tail, it's going to make your bait rise in the water column because there's some drag to it, with the paddle tail. And with a straight minnow type tail, it's going to cut the water better. So it'll actually keep its depth or even sink just a hair as you're retrieving it. So that's the reason. And in that current, you try to bring it up because that current's coming down so fast. They were releasing 43,000 CFM. So that's a lot of water coming down there. And so you had to keep up with it. Otherwise, you would be dragging the bottom. Like earlier, you were asking me ticking off the eelgrass. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep it kind of suspended. So I went away off of this style trailer and went to a blade style, a minnow style trailer. And I did dye the tip. I know it's funny, but it's like something I always do. I dye the tail chartreuse with spike it, just garlic smelled spike it, because anything I throw whether it's a stick bait or anything, green pumpkin or whatever, I'd always put that little chartreuse. I don't know why, but that's just the confidence I got, so I always dye it. And one other thing I want to say that kind of pertains to this but doesn't, I'm just trying to answer his question so he kind of gets the whole feel about this bladed jig setup, is a lot of people think that like green pumpkin is probably, to me, the best clear water color you can throw. People think, oh, throw a shad hue or something like that. No, green pumpkin is so natural looking. That's why green pumpkin plastic worms and everything is so dominant, because you can throw it in darker water, you can throw it in clear water. It's just a natural looking presentation. And that's I throw this bait probably 95% of the time, and all the money this year, except for one tournament I've won on I did good, was on a swim jig. Even up north with the smallmouth, this is what I was catching them on.
Is that the same?
Crazy.
Is that the same color trailer you were using, Frank? Like a shad color?
Yeah, what it was green pumpkin. It was green pumpkin on top with a pearl white belly on the bottom, and then for the blade minnow style was just straight green pumpkin.
Okay.
With it dyed spiked chartreuse tail. But that green pumpkin for clear to stained water, you only need two colors in my opinion, and then white. White works in the white. Pete can tell you this, or white in muddy water is, you can see white better than anything else in the world. I don't, black, because people say black, which is good. Florida, if you don't have black and blue, you're shooting yourself in the foot. For some reason, they love black there. But, in muddy water conditions, whether you're river fishing or anything, white is a great muddy water color. And you'd be surprised, fish can see the white, or they don't really have to see a lot of it, because it's the blade vibration that really keys them in that mud. But, try white. The viewers, try white. You'd be surprised in muddier conditions. It does work good.
Let me ask you this, Frank. The thunder cricket finds its way into the winner's circle. It's all been jackhammer, chatterbait. What's unique about the thunder cricket, or what is it doing that you like better?
What I like about it, there's a couple of aspects. This thunder cricket right here, I don't know if you can see it with the camera. You see how it moves back and forth in that slot?
I can see that. Yeah.
You can burn this bait as fast as you want. And you asked me, I'm not trying to disrespect a different company's stuff, but I'm just telling you how it works. With a jackhammer, if you burn a jackhammer, it wants to roll on you. After a certain speed, it'll kick and it'll turn on you. After you try to burn it real fast, it'll want to roll on you. With this being able to move back and let me get a better shot of it. With that being able to move back and forth, basically that's a self-tuner. So I don't care how fast you try to reel it, it won't roll on you. It will stay straight as an arrow, tracking. The other thing I like is, you see this hook here. This is a big shanked,
there it is,
big 5/0 owner hook, and you can't straighten this out. You can fish braid. You can fish this bait on braid, and you're not going to straighten that hammer. I mean, that big old tuna hook, as we call them, out. You're just not going to. But yet it's so sharp and it's thin at the tip that you can penetrate with fluorocarbon. Like 15 and 17 pound tests, there's not an issue of penetration on a long cast, even though it's got a thick gauge here. So that's another thing, is the hook is a lot stouter, and then the self-tuning. And then it's got these like little, I don't know if you can tell right there. See the little, the blade is indentated right there like that. And I think what that does is it puts out it doesn't put out necessarily more vibration. That's not what it does. What I think it does is I think it puts out a different type of vibration. You know what I mean? Something that a fish isn't used to, as much as an original chatterbait or a jackhammer or stuff like that, So just those little added tweaks, that's the biggest thing with this bait. And, you get confidence in something and you go with it. But, I just like this bait, and it comes in a lot of different, like with a jackhammer, you can get them in 3/8, half, 3/4, an ounce, and a quarter. These, they come in 3/8, half, 5/8, which I'm a big fan of 5/8. I like to throw a lot of 5/8 and 3/4 also, and then up. But the half and the 5/8 is really all you need. And I don't even throw a 3/8 a whole lot, because all I want to do, I'll hold the rod tip up a little bit to run this shallower, a half ounce. So I don't even see a need for the 3/8, but to each his own. That's why they make them, because people want to throw a 3/8 just like a spinner bait, 3/8, half, but half and 5/8 is about all I use,
Yep.
And so, but those are the major characteristics of it. And here, I'll pull back this trailer too. It's got.
I wanted to ask you to do that. I wanted to take a look at the trailer keeper on
what
there.
that is. Let me pull it up there. It's got the little single.
Yep.
Wire single keeper there.
Yep.
And then it's also got a collar. When you get up to the top there, it's got also a little collar. I don't know if you can see that good.
Yep.
It's got a little collar up here too, so it keeps everything. But I glue everything, like super glue it, because there's nothing more aggravating than getting a bite from a dink, and he rips your jump down, and you got your cricket, and you got this all torn up, and then you got to get down to the boat. And you saw me do that a lot. that final day, and it's because I glue it, but yet those fish were just like inhaling it. A lot of them were choking it down. And it's just like, by the time you unhook them, it wasn't because the trailer had pulled down off the shank. It was because they just had ripped where the hook came out, and just opened that up right there. And it was just, and I'm real weird. I mean, if you got to throw a trailer away after each fish, and it's $1 a piece trailer, caught a fish, you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. Yeah. So I'm happy to put a new trailer on every fish if that's what it takes. It's just a pain in the butt for time wise,
Yeah, sure. And I do the same. I crazy glue the trailers because the nature of how you're working that bait. You're always having to snatch it out of the grass, and eventually, you're going to snatch. The trailer's going to slip down, and the glue really just avoids that. So you can rip it as hard or as many times as you want, and that trailer's going to stay put.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yep. Rich, let me throw. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're watching over on Facebook or other social media, if you go over to bassu.tv and subscribe to bassu.tv, it's 30 days free. And we're taking all our questions from the IM board over at bassu.tv. We use your question live on the air. We're going to hook you up with some cool stuff. We should have called you to get some of these crickets available. We need to call Strike King to do some cricket giveaways.
I just got a text from my dad that said I'm sold. Order some.
That was it.
You need some cricket?
Yeah, need some thunder crickets. I mean, I'm a through and through, jackhammer. That's what I throw. But after hearing what you're saying about these thunder crickets, and what really stood out to me was what you said about the blade putting out a little different kind of vibration, which I think is key because, everybody's throwing a jackhammer, right? And the fish, they get used to seeing them, used to feeling them. But that little different feel of that blade, if it puts out something different, it's worth a shot.
You darn right. On a heavily pressured Lake Guntersville, throwing a different vibration,
dang,
I might get the blue trophy.
Yep. So
now instead of 5 jackhammers on Rich's deck, he's going to have 5 jackhammers and 5 thunder crickets, all different combinations, weights, colors, blades.
That's right.
And that means he needs 10 F90474Bs.
That's right.
from Cashin.
Yeah. Paul, if you're listening, man, come on. We need more rods.
Rich needs some rods.
Yeah. So anyway, we actually chiming through on the message boards. We have Natalie Baker just signed up tonight for the Bass University.
Hey, Natalie.
And Noah Springer signed up for the Bass University, and they are on board with us now to get full access to over 700 of the best bass fishing videos in the world. But without further ado, I would like to pass it over to Mr. Cesar Casanova, tuning in from Brazil, and he would like to know, what made you decide to fish the edges of the eelgrass rather than going into the center?
Okay. The eelgrass was so thick in the center of it that you couldn't get anything through it. And I don't think the fish, the way that the current came down and coming down the river and down that line, I don't think you could get those fish in position inside the eelgrass way in there. Like I had kind of mentioned before, the edge of the eelgrass is where those fish were trying to ambush their prey and the bait that came by from the current coming down. And that's the whole reason why I elected to fish the edge of it versus the inside of it. And plus the edge, bass are edge oriented, they want to be on the edge of something, whether it's a creek channel, a ledge, a hump, something, unless they're feeding, they're never on top of the hump. They're always on the edge of it, the down drop of it. And so they're real edge oriented. So those fish with that current, that sets them up. That's what dictates where they're actually going to be, is that current. And they can't see food passing by if they're like inside the grass, inside the eelgrass 3 or 4 feet. They can't see anything, because I wish I had a picture of the eelgrass. I mean, Pete knows what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. But for the viewers, it's like that stuff's so thick. You get lost in there if you had scuba gear on. It's thick stuff. Yep. I mean, it looks like a woman's hair up top. You know what I'm saying? It's like it looks like Bob Marley. It's just crazy, and you can't. Yeah, you like the Bob Marley, hey, but so that's just why they just can't see what's going on, and all that bait coming by is being washed right down that edge. Is
Sure.
The final answer, so to speak.
Well,
for all of you that want more in-depth info with what Frank's talking about, Pete did a seminar that dives so deep into that, and it's all about fishing edges. A lot of different scenarios, grass, rocks, different scenarios, but that Frank nailed it I was listening to your seminar all over again.
Yeah, well, we've got a few eelgrass edges around here on the Chesapeake that we fish from time to time. Maybe like 25 square miles of eelgrass up here. So we've got a little bit of practice. So, but that's great. But what we saw you do, and it's a good time to jump into it, I think, is when the sun got up, the fog went away. You switched up to a different bait. You switch up to a frog. Was that because they stopped biting that vibrating jig, or was that just a better tool to get big fish? Why did you switch up to the frog later in the day?
Exactly for that big fish opportunity, that big fish bite. I knew throwing that frog, and what I was throwing it in is back home. It's not the right name for it, but we in Texas that way call it duckweed. But duckweed up north where y'all are from is the little green stuff, looks like little peas, on the surface. This is actual true technical name is called pondweed, and what it is it's that leafy weed that's got a willow leaf. It looks just like a willow leaf, and it all lays over on the surface like this, and you can run stuff over the top of it. But that's the technical name is called pondweed, and so it's a leafy grass that lays over. And so to draw something out of there, you really don't have much choice. You can't throw a buzz bait over it because the buzz bait will get hung up in the leaves. Can't throw like a whopper plopper or a spook or something like that, a sexy dog, because you want something with noise to get through that. So the only thing to throw, and like a popping frog or a regular frog just doesn't make enough noise, and the popping frog would get kind of nipped in the leaves and stuff. So what I ended up doing was taking a sexy frog at first, and then adding one of those little sprinkler tails on it. That's it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those deals. It was just a niche area and a niche bait. In other words, there wasn't a whole lot of fish up there, but the ones that were up there, if you could aggravate them into biting, they were big, and when I say big for the river, they were 4+ pounds. And so that's what I would do after I get my limit, and I'd quit, and I'd be literally tired of culling, 2-pounders and 2 1/4s and looking at ounces, on the balance beam and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I just need to catch big ones. So I went up there, and there was about a mile stretch of it is all there was on that whole river. And so that mile stretch, I'd fish a 1/4 mile of it one day and wouldn't touch the rest of it. Then the next day I'd start where I left off and move up another 1/4 mile. You know what I mean? I saved it. And so every day from the second day on, I ended up catching at least one kicker out of it. The second day I caught actually 2 good ones out of it. I caught like a 4.5 and a 4 out of it. The next day, on day 3, that was the day that, like you said, my family was wanting to come and see me and stuff. And my marshal that was with me, I told him at 1 o'clock, go ahead and text my wife and tell her I didn't get that last big fish bite. Just to go ahead and stay at home, and literally he hit send, and I threw it out. I threw it across that mat, and I pulled it across, and this 4.5 knocks it out of the air. And as soon as it lands, he hits it again, and I catch him. He said, the text just said delivered. I said, well, send it back. Say, come on, baby. Let's get it on. Get your butt over here. So it was just like, that was like we talked about when it's meant to be. I mean, that's how weird it happened. I mean, he literally sent the text, said, Frank said, don't come. the very next cast, Frank said, "Come on, let's go."
Let's go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the last day, I only caught one out of there. It was pretty abused by the time, I had done fished it. And I caught one out of there that ended up culling up. It was like 3 1/4. That was the smallest fish I caught out of there all week. But most of them were over 4. But there was only a bite or 2 a day. It was just one of those things just to try to get a quality kicker bite. And it ended up working like 2 out of the 3 days.
Wow. Out of unique
That's awesome.
grass, pondweed.
Pondweed. Yeah, if you look it up, that's exactly what it's called, American pondweed. It's just a leafy weed.
Yep. We get it around here quite a bit. What an amazing frog strike. That never works like that. They blow it out of the water and then it's history. And this guy came back.
I know Brad's in the other room and he's saying, exactly, this stuff never happens, dude. I can hear him in there. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I just leave it to me. Leave it to me.
Awesome. You were destined to win that one. And I'm going to throw it back to the Bass U subscribers. Riz, do you have a question in the queue for us?
I sure do. Mike O wants to know from you, Frank. And by the way, guys, the first subscriber that came through and asked a question, I messed up his name. It's not actually Douche Drag. He meant it to be Dust Rag. So sorry, Dust Rag. I thought I didn't see the enunciation in there, so that one's on me. But the old Dust Rag got the first question to come through. And but Mike O wants to know, what's the most challenging part in preparing for a bass tournament?
The most challenging part, Mike, for preparing for a bass tournament, I'll give you 2. One is if it's a multi-day event. The biggest thing is to find enough fish for several days of fishing. That's the difference, honestly, between professional bass fishing and the everyday, weekend tournaments and stuff. Is you have to find enough fish for a minimum of 3 days, but most likely 4, and that's a tough thing to do. I mean, is to find enough fish on a lake in 2.5 days worth of practice to be able to hold up for 4 days. Usually, you end up trying to find something while you're out there fishing the tournament, to expand on your area or expand on your pattern, or scrapping it all together and moving on. And the other thing is, honestly, the second thing, Mike, is this mental confidence. The mental game of fishing when it comes to tournament bass fishing is confidence and the mental game of it, meaning what happens if you don't get a bite by noon and weigh-ins at 2:30? I mean, you can't fold, you can't get in the bottom of the boat and say, oh man, I just gave away my entry fee and this and that. It doesn't work that way in tournament bass fishing. You have to, till the last cast is done, you have to really think that you're going to put a fish in the boat and you're going to get a bite on every cast. And you can't let, just an example, you can't let a vulture or a bird fly by and it take your concentration off, and you're looking over here to see what it's doing, and then boom, you get a bite, a crucial bite, and you miss it because you weren't fully in tune with your cast and stuff. That's the biggest thing, is you got to keep your dome on straight for 8 solid hours. That's the thing. You can't let anything distract you. And the other thing is on multi-day tournaments is to find enough fish for at least 3 days worth of fishing.
That's wow. That's so true. And burn versus save and it's interesting on this tournament because it sounds to me like you did a little bit of both. Like you pressed hard in areas, but you saved some areas. I'm usually in the camp of catch what you can catch today and worry about tomorrow, but you did a little of both in this tournament.
And I did, but normally, honestly, Pete, that's funny you said that. This year we made a pact with each other, me and Brad, and we're like, we call it just beat them up and, wear them out. Burn them down is what we actually call it. Burn it down.
Catch them, I love it. Trip sort them out.
Don't worry about tomorrow. Let's just get enough weight today and burn them down. So if you find them biting, don't leave them biting. Just hammer on them until there's no more to hammer, and that's because you see that a lot in these tournaments. A guy will, like earlier, like he'll put a 25-pound bag in the first day, and then he'll slip up and catch 8 or 9 the second day, but he still makes the cut for the third day because he had enough weight that first day to carry him through. So for now on, because you don't know what's going to happen on that second day. A local could be sitting on your area. The fish could move, stop biting, whatever the issue is.
Rain comes in, wind starts blowing on your stuff. You never know.
Burn them down.
Or they come in and weigh 45 pounds, Pete.
Yeah.
You have 15 pounds. Congratulations. You earned yourself 0th place.
I can't give these guys any ammunition against me, Frank.
No, Pete, they're torching you. You know that.
Swear. You know.
Oh, I'll never forget that part of the story that you laid off those fish.
Yeah. Pete, you had the fish to catch 45 that day, I'm sure.
I did. You know, I didn't want to press them because, like Frank said, you know, there's no way that they can duplicate the next day, and they did.
Oh, that's great.
That's funny. Yes,
right.
But yeah, burn them down.
Yeah, I love that philosophy, and most oftentimes that's the right philosophy. And,
yes, sir.
You know, you certainly used it well. Let me ask you this: did this week at Santee at your Airbnb, did you receive a package of Omaha steaks from Clark Wendlandt this week?
No, I didn't. Matter of fact, I didn't. But yeah, he did call me and we talked, and we actually visited last night and stuff like that. Yeah, Clark's good people. He's like I said on stage, you know, he's a legend in the sport, and he's a mentor of mine. You know, way before I knew him, you know, just watching him and stuff like that. The dude is a true, you know, he's the picture of a true professional. He's just, you know, in my opinion, he's, you know, like Mike Iaconelli. Bottom line, you know, he does good for people. He does good out on the lake, and you know, all importantly, he's a great teacher, and he's taught thousands of people how to fish that nobody realizes through magazines, videos, stuff like that. He's just a legend in the sport. And, you know, if we can throw him a bone every now and then, because he's running for that Angler of the Year title, and then, you know what, so be it. Well, that's what we'll do to help him out. And, you know, don't get me wrong, Clark don't need much help. Trust me, Clark is a bona fide, you know, hammer, you know, and that dude will shell them everywhere we go. So don't let that fool you. Clark is, you know, one of the best that ever played the game by all means. But, you know, even the best every now and then need a little crumb thrown their way. You know, they just, you can't find them every dang tournament. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, it was amazing for those of you that don't know that story. You know, Clark's in the Angler of the Year hunt, and Frank and Clark had talked, and you know, Clark went out and caught the biggest bag of the tournament, I think, or certainly the biggest bag that day, based on some discussions, and that's the way it works out there. Yeah. You have a group that you can share some information with, and if you're very, very fortunate, and it sounds like you are, you've got some people that you can work together with and share some information that you can trust and makes sense and helps you in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're with me and Brad, you know, we share, we kick around stuff. We don't share waypoints. We share a general area if there's enough room for a couple of people, no doubt. We share techniques, of course, that type of stuff. You know, and Clark, we've kicked around some stuff with Clark here recently and stuff, because I mean he can break stuff down, and he is like, not only is he a great fisherman, but goes back to what we were talking about, mental attitude. You know, he knows what it takes when the going gets tough, and he'll help you out with the mental aspect of the side of fishing and professional bass fishing. And so he's a good guy to have around. But yeah, me and Brad Watley, we're real tight and close knit, you know, and we kick a lot of stuff off of each other, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I mean there's networking out there, no doubt, but if you don't have the right network partner, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, you know? And so you have to really trust the person and the information that you're getting. Because if you're not getting the right information, then, you know, you're just going to chase your tail and you're going to look like a fool.
No doubt, no doubt. And that's huge. And it's great that you have that. And by the way, JK, I want you to continue to pursue Clark Wendlandt. We've tried to work with Clark at Bass University quite a bit over the years, and our schedules couldn't come together. And
it's going to happen.
Yeah, we're going to get.
Then I'll just call Patty his wife. I'll get it handled for you.
Yeah,
there we go.
We need to get Frank Talley.
Yeah, we're going to bring Frank to the classroom too.
As well.
I'd love to. I'm a subscriber of y'all's. You know, it doesn't like you can't. Awesome. You cannot. Yeah, you cannot not learn. You know, continue to learn. That's what gets things stagnant. So I watch several videos a month. I've got my subscription every month. It's just, that's what we do, you know, and whoever says that, so there's a lot of professionals out there that have a subscription to you guys and, you know, because I like a different take from somebody else, you know, and like I've watched a lot of your seminars and stuff like that. And, you know, if it isn't stuff that you didn't know, then you've learned new, and some stuff is just you forgot and don't really pay attention to that. Right. It reiterates your mind and you're like, oh man, you know, Pete's right or Gerald's right. You know, I need to remember to do this on this situation, and boom, it kicks you going again. Because I mean, bottom line is we're all, you know, passionate about this sport and passionate about catching fish. And it's not only just on the tournament aspect, but just catching more fish in general for the general public out there. And if you're not, you know, tuned into what people that do this all the time are saying, then you're missing out. So you really, no doubt, you really need to get involved and join, because when you have professionals like us that pay our money every month, we're no different than the rest of the public. I still want to learn, and I can, you know, with all those videos and stuff, you have countless forms of information and ways to see stuff from electronics. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, I'm not trying to be a sales pitch for y'all. It's just the bottom line. I'm a subscriber. And so, you know, if I want to say, oh man, what am I forgetting about laydowns and wood and stuff? I'll fire up the Bass U and find laydowns and wood and watch a seminar on it, you know, and heck, it just reiterates a lot of the stuff that you already known. But if you don't know it, then it kicks it back in and you know, you might learn something, no doubt.
Thank you for that, Frank. And I appreciate you being part of the program. But it gives you, one of the things I find, it gives you ideas. Like if you've been doing this a long time, like me, you know, it's like, wow, I never looked at it like that. Or I never, you know, thought about, you know, like Greg DePalma using a drop shot. He used it. I watched him give a seminar and used it in ways I didn't really think of. And it gives me ideas that, you know, that I hadn't thought of before. But we're, you know, Riz, let's get Frank a Bass University care package for that great testimonial.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate that, you know, but it's just the truth. I mean, I'm not sitting there trying to toot the viewer's horn or your guys' horn and trying to commit it's real. I mean, that's the bottom.
Frank, we're gonna send you a signed hat. We'll all sign it here. I'll sign it.
All right, awesome. Hey, I honestly, that's you guys are giggling, but honestly, that's perfect because my wife supposedly got this big old trophy room fitting to be happening at our new house. She's having a house built while I'm gone. She said, you don't know what address you're going to be at, but when you address. And so, you know, she said she done had to change the prints around for the blue trophy and do all this. So yeah, any memorabilia I can get, you know, a signed plug, crankbait, whatever, just send it my way. I'll be happy to post it.
It's on its way.
All right. That's awesome.
Riz, let me throw it back to the Bass U group. Who else do you have?
Yep. So I actually wanted to throw some shout outs out there to everybody that's been on the board with us tonight. Dave Hall, Epic Eric, Wild Bill, A Squirrely Surprise, Kyle B, Little Buck 3, Riz's Catfish, Dust Rag, Sam DeMayo, Mike O, BRG Fishing, Tony the Tiger, Pete at Rod Warrior USA, New York Chris, Tyler Nolan, ton of guys here on the board with us tonight. And we actually just had another person sign up for the Bass U tonight, and it's Matthew Whittington said, I saw Frank take the win at Guntersville, and then I saw him on the show, and I just had to sign up.
Yeah.
So that is
awesome.
That is awesome, Frank. You
You're a great man, Matt.
you are really moving the needle, dog. We love that. And so the next question is actually going to come from Natalie Baker, who just signed up tonight as well.
Yep.
Natalie would like to know, how do you determine how deep you want to fish your chatterbait, and what makes you determine your retrieve speed and action that you implement on your bait?
Great question, Natalie. Honestly, fish want to feed looking up position. That's, 90% of the way they feed is in the up position. So in other words, you usually want to try to position your bait above them. If you think that they're in, 5 foot of water, then you want a bait that really runs, 4 foot, 3.5 to 4 foot. Give them a chance to come up to it. Now you're probably saying, well, what happens, when they're eating crawdads on the bottom, then they're feeding downwards, right? But what the reason why they're feeding downwards is they're going to eat the bait downwards. But then when they're sensing it coming with their lateral line, hitting the rocks, coming down, so they're naturally not looking at the bottom to begin with, but their attention goes to the bottom when they feel those vibrations, or they hear it bouncing off rocks, or the rattles of the bait, or whatever it might be. Then of course they're going to come down and eat the bait. But fish like to, that are sitting there, something comes over the top of their head, that's the way they're kind of looking, so to speak, and angled, so they want to come up naturally. So if you know that your fish are, sitting in 5 foot of water, then you want a bait that's going to go 3.5 or 4 foot. I'm just using 5 foot as an example. You want something a foot over their head, so to speak, and they'll come out on it. And then the other part of the question, can you give it to me one more time?
How do you determine what kind of action you want to implement on the chatterbait?
It really depends on the mood of the fish, what the weather is. If it's sunny, and it's high pressure right after a front, then, you want something, you don't want a lot of, herky jerky movement, so to speak. In other words, twitching of the rod. I do that a lot. Like I'll be reeling like this, and then I'm just constantly just kind of like you do with a spinnerbait, Pete, just flare the blades a little bit. Well, that chatterbait will just kind of just boom, boom, just jump a little bit. I do that a lot. If there's nothing to ricochet off of, or grass to rip out of, or something like that. If it's just free reeling it, I'll just twitch it every now and then, just give it a little dart, and then that sometimes will trigger a bite. So, but if it's cloudy and storms coming in and they're really actively feeding, then just a straight retrieve, pretty much just steady Eddie, they'll just come out and eat it. But, high pressure, slow down a little bit. I've seen where, I've watched a seminar with Mike, Ike and Ellie, and he feathers a vibrating jig a lot.
That's Rich's top secret technique. He wants to keep that one quiet.
I understand, but it does work. And I mean,
Stroking a jig.
Yeah, stroking a jig. That's something that nobody does anymore, hardly. I seen them do it on last year's Elite at Guntersville. Matter of fact, in June, I think Ari was stroking a jig out there, and
that's right.
He was catching them really well doing it, because it's something they don't see a lot, and it makes them react. A 1 ounce jig stroked real quick, and that thing falls past them. Their natural instinct is to hammer it.
We like to call the feather and the chatterbait the zip.
Oh.
Because you get them going on, you get them going on that. It's just zip up the way bag, boy. We're coming to the scales.
Oh, and I bet you they choke it down good too. I bet you it's all the way down in their throat, huh?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Hey, it's a good one, and Frank, I really appreciate you've been very gracious with your time.
Yes.
I know you've got a practice day in front of you, and we want to let you go so you can get rest and get out there and get after and find another school of fish.
Yes.
And it's been an absolute treat talking to you. And I love your style. I really do. I'm looking forward to watching it on Santee. I wish you the best of luck there. And thanks so much for being with us tonight on the show.
Hey, I just want to say thank you all so much for having me on. I mean, it means the world to me. Like I said, I've watched this show and seen guys like, and where I'm sitting there and just listening to everything they have to say. And so it's so awesome to be able to give back to the fans and to the subscribers and stuff. So, anytime y'all need anything from me, you just don't hesitate to holler, and I'd be happy to help any way I can. It doesn't have to always be about fishing. If you need help with some charity event or whatever, just holler at me, and my wife will probably set it up for us, and we'll do it.
Man, that's
Awesome.
all. Thank you so much, Frank. Good luck this week. The champ, Frank Talley.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
buddy.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me.
You're the best, man.
Yes,
Have a
sir.
great
Thanks,
night.
Frank.
All
Have a
right.
great
Good
night, Frank.
All right. Bye.
What a great honor that was to get into the details of that great win. Your first big win like that is
Wow.
it's just so amazing, and what an amazing way he did it. Riz feathering the chatterbait like he did.
I don't think he was doing that on that win.
No, he wasn't. He was actually straight retrieving it as he said. You could see him doing it on Bassmaster Live, and it was great coverage on Bassmaster Live. Shout out to Ronnie Moore and Zona and all the rest, Tommy, all the guys over there. It was great
Davey.
watching.
That's right.
Davey, of course, and
Such.
Dave and Such. All those guys putting together a great program. Looking forward to seeing Santee. Oh my God, I can't wait to see this Santee Cooper tournament. It's got dinosaurs in this lake. I mean, dinosaurs in the giant alligators that live there and the giant catfish that live there. People travel from all over the world to go catfishing at Santee Cooper because they get so big. And of course they got bass that, are double digits. A lot of double-digit fish that live in Santee for a body of water that far north. It's pretty amazing. So I can't wait to see it, JK.
Me either. I think the weights are going to be a little disappointing for you there, Pete. I mean, you might get those big dinosaurs to show up, but it's October.
I know, but I have heard through the grapevine that there has been tons of 30-pound stringers in the fall. And a lot of it's been the frog bite down on Santee. And now they may have changed. This information is a week or two old, and fronts are coming through, and we got a hurricane pressing down on the area in a couple days, maybe. I'm not sure if it'll hit in time, but anyway, I heard there were some really monster bags still coming in the fall at Santee, and nobody knew you could catch those monster bags that time of year. So
I just want to reflect back. Frank was, he was as nice as advertised, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great guy.
He's a real deal.
Yeah. That was
very
awesome.
sincere. Yeah, very, very sincere guy. Wow. I got to be honest. I was so flattered. I about his conversation and on Bass University. And I didn't know he was a subscriber.
Yeah.
And I was honored to hear that conversation. I enjoyed every part of his interview. Just so sincere, shooting the viewer straight, and like I said, I love his style.
I look forward to signing a hat for him.
Yeah.
Let's do
Frank's
that.
on the hire list, man. I want to get him inside the classroom. I think he's, he showed it today. He broke it down great, man. He's just one of those guys that we meet, you'll root for the rest of your life,
True.
Yeah. It makes you want to root for him, JK. You're exactly right. I want to root for him.
You always, when we encounter the best guys, all the guys. I mean, we encounter all of them working with this gig, and you're either a guy that you're going to meet and you're going to root for that guy, or you're just not. Frank's that guy. Frank's that guy that you meet and you root for him the rest of your life.
Yep. There's so much that I wanted to talk to him about, but I wanted to be respectful of his time and preparation for his tournament coming up. And how great was that? Just thank you again. I know I said it to him live on the air, but a lot of guys wouldn't make the time during a practice round to do an interview with us. So that's great that he did that, and we'll save some of these questions. I have tons of questions that are unasked. We'll save them for next time.
He's on the heater though, man. He doesn't need a lot of practice. He's riding that, as good as I do. There's a lot of back-to-back wins that can happen out there, and it's happened before where guys just hot. I know Brandon Cobb last year won 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Well, he's very much simplified his approach. He's just going to be throwing the thunder cricket around cypress trees. Yeah? Just keep
same
going.
color, same trailer, same size.
Yep.
Flipping them in the boat.
Did you have a top 5 related to that?
My top 5 is related to none other than the vibrating jig category. We can dive right into it. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do this.
So I got a couple top 5s for you guys. All right. So today, the professional fish head top 5 is brought to you by a combination of top professional finishes that pass the truth test. No BS in this top 5. And then some Bass University seminars. And we're talking about trailers for vibrating jigs. So right now, I'm gonna go with the top 5 vibrating jig trailers, and then I'm gonna give you 5 newer trailers that have kind of in the last year come about where people and pros are really talking about this one or that one on their vibrating jig. You know, we're all about what's that next hot thing that I can put on the back of my cricket. So before I dive in, I'm gonna give you guys. I want to know. Can you guess at least one that you know is going to be on this top 5 list?
Sure, Zako.
Okay, Rich.
Yep. That one that Z-Man makes that nobody likes because it's impossible.
The Razor Shad. Razor Shad.
Watch Brian Latimer's YouTube video, man. You can get on that hook.
Yeah.
VTC.
Zoom speed crawl.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one.
Good one.
Guys, they got 3 out of 5.
Wow.
The speed crawl is sneaky, but it is a great chatterbait trailer.
That was the original. That was the trailer that started this whole revolution. Like Drift and back in Florida, that was the trailer everybody was using to get started.
Yeah. Ever throw a horny toad on the back of one, Pete?
I have.
Yeah.
I've actually thrown a horny toad without a skirt, just like you do on a buzzbait, and I've had some strong success with that.
How about that? Never talked about that. That's crazy. I thought I've milked everything there is to milk out of Pete.
I somehow
surprised me every day.
I somehow ended up with one of them, Pete. That's how I know. And I don't know
one
how
of mine.
I ended up with a black chatterbait of yours that had a horny toad on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about
and
that?
I caught him on that until something happened, but yeah, that's the only reason I know about it. And somehow it came from you. But yeah,
you probably ripped up your horny toad and didn't have any more packs.
It had that bulk. It had that profile, that meat.
Yep.
It's good in muddy water down here in the South.
Yeah.
So let's get to it, guys.
Do it.
So the top 5. All right, you know a few of them that are coming, and that's why I did a secondary top 5 because honestly, you know, I hope you guys get something out of this. I looked at this list and I was like, man, there's no secrets here, but maybe there is. So number 5, coming in at number 5, the Lake Fork Live Magic Shad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
That was kind of your original Zako Razor Shad style.
A little bit smaller, right? It's not quite as long.
No, they got a 3.5 and a 5-inch, and a lot of guys like that 5-inch.
Okay.
Wasn't that like the B height trailer before Yamamoto came out with the Zako? Was
actually B height smashed them at Seminole on a swim Senko, on the swim Senko.
Okay.
Yeah, and that wasn't like the most popular among a bunch of pros, but that was a B height special. Was throwing that swim Senko for years before he helped design that Zako.
Somebody did well with the fork trailer, or a couple people did that. I can't remember who it was. But
the Lake Fork Live Magic Shad. That's why it's on the list. It's got a lot of top finishes. There's guys who dropped it in seminars, and it's just one of those baits that gets bit on the back of a vibrating jig. Number 4, BTC, nailed it. Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl.
Well done, BTC. I'm still impressed. Good job.
He's got it, man. He's in the fishing zone right now. He's fishing 2 days a weekend.
Hell yeah.
Brian's fishing more than me right now.
How about it?
You watch out,
nice.
man. The
I like it. I
BTC's
like it a
got some
lot.
tricks.
Me too.
I'm in.
But number 3, the Z-Man Razor Shads, right in that same category of the, non-paddle tail shad looking thing. I don't know. There's no bait category. It bothers me. Like, you get the soft jerk bait category. You can get so specific. But what is that bait category called? Like, that has the Live Magic shad, the Razor shad, the Zako. I mean, this only built to be put on the vibrating jig.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what else are you using these baits for, Pete?
Like, you could use them as a minnow style bait. Like, why not? You could possibly, like, a fluke. Like, the Razor Shad in particular is a very much a fluke, a Zoom fluke kind of duplicate. The Zako is similar, but I don't know how it would perform. But the Zako seems to be certainly designed specifically as that trailer. I would agree.
Yeah. Well, and another one in that category, it didn't make the list, but the Blade Minnow from Strike King. That's what Frank switched to. That's kind of
that's a fluke style, like fork tail style bait.
Yeah, they're thin. They're thin vertically, so it's hard to figure out how to fish it. But there's a million ways to rig those. So, number 2, get ready for this: the Kitech Swing Impact Fat.
Yeah,
is what Frank was throwing originally. He's talking about. Well, he was throwing a Rage Swimmer, but same category, same deal.
Yep.
Interesting. I see for my trailer, I use a boot tail a lot on my vibrating jig, and I use a Reaction Innovations. I use a skinny dipper when I want a big profile, and I use a money minnow, a 3.5-inch money minnow when I want a smaller profile.
This conversation's freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah, that skinny dipper was money. That caught my first bay pig with you, Pete. My first bay pig was a skinny dipper on the back of a chatterbait.
What's going through your head, Rich?
I mean, it was just Zako until the cows come home for a long time. This guy's giving me all these ideas. I got stuff. I got stuff firing on.
Dude, the Zako was so 2018, man.
Yeah.
All right.
My number one trailer is a black Senko.
For that.
Hey, send your address. I'm gonna send you a hat. I'll sign it.
All right. So number 1, no surprises, Yamamoto Zako. It won a Bassmaster Classic on the back of Ott's chatterbait. It's Brett's one bait. I mean, this is no secret, right? And if you haven't heard about it yet, guys, this is probably the hottest. It's on the back of Rich's chatterbait, and he wins. So Yamamoto Zako. That's number 1 on the list. So now we move to the other top 5. The top 5 of the new chatterbait style trailers that are catching fire, that guys are talking about, the guys are using and catching big bass on. And we'll start with the one that John Cruz put on the back of his chatterbait and caught a 6-pounder on the Bassmaster Classic at Guntersville this year. And that's the Missile Baits Quiver.
Right.
That's that big worm, that spade tail. It just kind of quivers on the back of your chatterbait.
Any of your buddies use that on the chatterbait yet, Rich?
No.
Because I know your boys are throwing that a lot.
Yeah, we're not doing that with it, but
right.
That's interesting because it's going to be a real tight profile, and
it works. Yeah, I tried to dedicate myself to throwing a chatterbait a lot more this year, and a quiver and a Zako are probably what I'm getting bit on the most, and a quiver probably more so. I was doing that in the colder months. The quiver was getting bit, man.
Yeah. Rich is freaking out, dude.
His
palms are sweaty. Look at him wringing his hands.
I am.
He's gonna need a few more cast and rods now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Changing everything.
Look at him wringing his hands.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move to another one where this one's not a new bait, but it's got some new colors that are going to help for mimicking some bait fish. But the Berkeley Power Bait Chigger Crawl was on the back of Jordan Lee's chatterbait when he did that crazy 30+ pound day at was it Eufaula this year? I think it was Eufaula. He had like 33 pounds for like 5 or 6 fish, and was throwing a Berkeley chigger crawl on the back of his chatterbait. And they've got those new colors, like that grunge color that Ike designed. It's perfect for like mimicking bluegill. And then he's got that new blue Labatt, So I think that's going to go well with a little black and blue. But guys are putting that chigger crawl on that chatterbait for sure. Another new one to make the new top 5, the Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On. I think it's called a swim on. It's one word, swim on. SWIMON.
What style of bait? What shape is that?
It's kind of like a mixture of like the shad minnow style baits, but the tail is forked, but they're a little bit longer, so they've got like maybe that long and they're flapping. It's a little thinner. It's not so rigid and stiff. So you're going to get a little bit more action. And then there's like a little joint in the middle of it, I think. And that's been a really popular one. It showed up in a lot of early season tournaments, chatterbait tournaments, and top finishes and stuff. And another one is one that I'd never heard of, and I've picked up on it a couple times in top finishes. And I can't remember it. I hate this because I pride myself on my memory. But one of the guys in Anderson, South Carolina, so you can look at who the seminar instructors were at Anderson, and it's one of those guys, was telling me about this bait for a chatterbait trailer, and it was the Longus, Longas, Longas is the bait.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean, JK.
Longest baits funnel jerk. So if you look at it, it's only like a bunch of shad colors, but they're like translucent kind of hues. So immediately I think clear water type of deal. It's a lot of shad colors, if you will. There's no greens, pumpkins, there's no black and blues, but it's a really, it's more natural, I guess. It's got some features on it that you'd want in clear water, I guess, but it gets the right action from what I'm told, and I've seen it come up a few times. So I added it to the list because it's new and it was cool looking. And so the last one to make the list is, we talked about the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl. Pete, that's been a staple on the back of a chatterbait. They came out with a Magnum. Zoom came out with a Magnum Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl. So it's not quite as big as like the Super Speed Crawl. It's just a little bit beefier, a little bit longer, bigger profile, but the same kicker tails.
Wow. That's cool.
So,
that's unique. I want to give a shout out to Stray Cast. Pat Renwick says Missile Baits Quiver Me Timbers as his trailer.
It's been mine too. It's awesome. It really is a bite getter.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. All the different stuff. What's the takeaway here? Dude, throw a vibrating jig, man, and throw some plastic on there.
Just put plastic on it.
You're going to catch some fish. It's, oh my gosh, every shape and every style is winning tournaments, cashing checks. And you know what? I think another big takeaway from it, guys, is, and Frank, doing it with his Thunder Cricket, he's getting a different look, a different sound out of the Thunder Cricket than you're getting out of the other vibrating jigs. And that's helping them get bites. And the same thing happens when you change that trailer. You alter the trailer and you're going to get a different look, a different vibration, different depth. The boot tails are going to cause it to rise. The fork tails are going to allow you to run it deeper.
Yeah.
There's infinite possibilities here. And I love, like, and Brian, you're reminding me that, this must have been almost 10 years ago I started taking the skirts off.
Yep.
And just using plastics as trailers. And that's a bite getter, giving a completely different look. It's a lot of fun. Great work.
Yeah,
JK,
the one that I didn't hear, JK, our buddy Keith Cowan, that whole crew actually down the flats for years, and I don't know if they're still throwing it, Rich.
Ripple shad?
Yeah, hold on, let me mic you back up, buddy.
The upside down ripple shad?
Yeah, Berkeley.
Oh, the Berkeley.
Yeah,
dude, that is a bad little bait.
The Berkeley ripple shad.
On the chatterbait.
It's kind of got that keeled shape to it. The body.
Yeah, Pete, there's like a big following of guys, not following, but a ton of guys will flip that paddle tail swim bait over, upside down.
To get the depth, it'll actually do the opposite. Yeah, it'll allow that to run deeper.
There you go.
It'll trend it downward. Interesting.
But I think the boot tail actually kicks more upside down. I think. I don't know.
So John Cox says he puts a Berkeley Max Scent General on the back of his chatterbait, and the fish bite it and hold on
and
to
dead
it.
sticks it. And still catches them.
He drops.
He still catches them.
Carolina region. He does whatever.
He definitely did a deal with the devil. That guy. You know what I mean?
I saw him at Guntersville. Right, he came in with 4 fish were 17 pounds, and stormed into the top, but it didn't go so well for him on day 2. But man, he's amazing at his ability to get it done, and he keeps it so simple. I love his style too. He's just such a likable guy, so easy to root for too. But
that is true. John Cox is awesome.
No doubt about it. BTC, well, guys, if you're watching on Facebook, I want to remind you that we have a like and share contest.
Yeah.
Like it, share it, and we got a big prize.
$50 gift pack of missile jigs.
Missile jigs.
Missile jigs, baby.
Any quivers in
$50.
that, in that gift pack? Any quivers in that gift pack?
You know what? We have a few. We'll throw some in there, Pete.
If there were, there aren't.
Yeah.
All right. They're good. They're going in there now. Very good.
Yeah, put them on the back of your chatterbaits or thunder crickets.
BTC, what's next on our agenda?
Well, Rich, do we have any questions on the board ready? No.
Yeah, we do. We have Matt Lane is going to be joining us on.
Matt Lane's going to join us. All right, I'll look for him in the queue on the Zoom.
Yep.
All right.
So Matt Lane, you heard it. I sent you the Zoom information. Get in the queue, and we're gonna queue you up. But
guys, we're going to start doing this on every Bass University Live. We're going to be, giving all of our subscribers a chance to zoom in and ask your questions live to the panel or to our guests. Depending on how we do it on each show. But so keep that in mind.
Yep.
Check it out next week. Get ready. Get your questions together for whatever we have, and if we pick your question, we're gonna zoom you in.
I see Matt showing up in the queue while I'm getting him set up. I just wanted to let everybody know Straycast will be live tomorrow night with Brian Thrift.
Ooh.
So Pat's going to have Brian on. Should be awesome. And I'm sure Pat will have like 15 other dudes on with him.
Pat throws a party.
League.
It's the Brady Bunch. Just
he does it. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. He can pull it off.
Awesome.
And then let everybody know we did an Ike Live this past Friday night, and we had, in case anybody missed it, we had both Cody Meyer and Kevin Van Dam on. So we had a.
That was a great show. That was a great show, absolutely. And I wanted to take a second here to talk about something. My co-angler on day one from the BFL that I was fortunate enough to win last month, Scott Gropp, recently had a stroke, and I just wanted to let Scott know that, man, I'm thinking about you. I'm sending him up for you. I'm praying for you, and it looks like he's already well on his road to recovery. We've talked a little bit via social media, and he's going to work real hard to get back into fishing shape. And just wanted to let you know, man, I hope to see you out on the water real soon. And just a lot of positive thoughts and vibes are headed your way. He was an outstanding guy to share the boat with. I mean, the absolute model of what you would want as a co-angler or even a team partner, as far as somebody you want to be on the boat with. So, Scott, I'm thinking about you, wishing you a speedy recovery.
Same here. Let's go, Scott.
Thoughts and prayers out to Scott.
Yep.
Most
the Bass
definitely.
University crowd for sure.
Well, we have a shadowy figure on the
Matt, do you have lights?
We are approaching Halloween. This seems appropriate.
Is this
I am in my truck. I just got home, so I can go find some more light though.
No, go ahead, man. Fire away, buddy.
And as a matter of fact, I just moved to the lake, so I wish it was a little bit more daylight so y'all could see my view.
Is this the realtor Matt Lane from Alabama?
It is.
What's
is.
up, man?
Man, I'm good.
Matt comes to our Gadsden classes, Pete.
That's
we
right.
see Matt every year.
Yeah,
Matt, it's
and
awesome.
I've got a couple of bulldogs that are looking.
Love it.
Matt, it's awesome to have you on the show. It's great that you could be with us. I look forward to talking to you tonight.
Looking forward to it, man. I appreciate it.
Where are you right now?
I'm on Lay Lake. I'm here in Shelby, so you guys know about Lay Lake, that's for sure.
How is Lay Lake in the fall? We've been talking about fall fishing. Is it as challenging as all the others?
It is. It's just like everything else.
I
So
understand.
you can throw a pop or like a Xerospook, a pencil type bait all day. That's the best thing to do.
Isn't that amazing how when the fish
Top
get
water.
freaked out, that top water is your solution to get through these difficult times?
Yep, exactly.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. What's your question?
Well, my question was, typically we don't talk about the Elite Series tournaments for the fall. And I know we're having more tournaments like that this year. Is the fact that COVID jacked everything up this year, will that be a new norm, that they will have more fall tournaments, or are they just going to still lean spring heavy?
Man, that's a great question. And as a matter of fact, I heard the guys on Bassmaster Live discussing that exact thing this year, or on this recent show, and what they're experiencing. And I hope it's true, honestly. I because I love watching the fall tournaments. I love the pain and suffering. I love, I just love it. It's a challenge, right? It's a chess match more so than any other time of year. But they're experiencing, I think, a great renaissance of excitement, enthusiasm about fishing in the fall, and they're thinking that they might continue down this road of fishing in the fall, and I really hope they do.
Yeah,
and I hope MLF does too. I mean, when I started fishing, back in 1793, we started.
Out of your arc.
I did. It was difficult to find a trolling motor big enough for the arc, but
at least you have plenty of room for all the fish, though.
I did. You just had to keep them away from the bears and the lions and all the other things. But,
Noah.
few more months of COVID, I'll be looking like Noah with his beard. but when we started, that's when our season started in the fall, and a lot of people that have been following the sport for a while. We would have the classic in the summertime, and first, second, third tournament would be September, November, December, and it was great. It was great for me personally. And I noticed that when I was watching guys fishing the elites, that there was a ton of guys that are in the same camp as I am, that they excel in the fall, and that's one of their favorite times of year to fish.
Yeah.
And Bassmaster, the Bassmaster Live crew even said it. They were like, we're going to see some faces that we might not have ever seen because the spring. There's spring talent and there's fall talent, and there's a rare bunch that excel in both places. And, so I think it's awesome that they're having fall tournaments. I think this year is going to continue. Who knows when COVID's going to shut down or get
November 4th.
We're on the same page, Matt.
All right, left turn, right turn.
Yeah, just getting political right off the gate, right out of the gate. Love it. But when that happens, we're going to see what the tournament trails do. I know MLF has not had their tournaments in the fall as much. They haven't competed as much. And
their television cups have, though. A lot of those cups have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we're seeing Bassmasters finish out their full schedule this fall. I love it, man. I love it. I'm with you. I hope they continue. I hope all the tournament trails do it. I know the National Professional Fishing League coming out of the gate with fall tournaments.
Yeah.
Love 2-2-2, right? 2 spring, 2 summer, 2 fall.
2 fall. I think that's amazing. And me personally, I think that's the true test, Matt, of an angler is his ability to catch them in the seasons.
I agree.
You know, that's the real test.
Good
and
point.
You see in every like sport, you know, like that they test their competitors at various conditions, and I love to see them continue with it. But that's a great question.
Too.
I don't know the answer to, but if they're asking me, have fall tournaments every year.
Good deal. I agree with you.
I agree too.
Let me ask you this, Matt. What is your go-to trailer on your chatterbait?
Well, you aren't going to be very happy with me because I don't throw a chatterbait much.
Oh!
But after the diet, I am. And I do. I mean, when I do throw it, it's February, March, and I use like a crawl type with it, but I don't throw it after March. Pretty much.
Lake gets a bunch of that bank grass, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. You might want to mix that into your arsenal this winter around some of those docks that have bank grass.
Yeah, true.
We had I had the privilege of fishing with a couple of guys down in your neck of the woods this past winter, and it was a strong pattern for those big old spotted dogs you guys got.
Well, I tell you what, if y'all come down to Bama, y'all holler at me. We'll go fishing.
I will, man. I'm coming to Lake in January. Never been there.
Alabama. Are you fishing that open, Justin?
No, I'm not fishing the opens. That was just a one-time thing for Hartwell. If they come to the house, I'll jump in them now. But I'm fishing the ABT 100s with my team partner Matt Henry. We decided to step out of our comfort zone and go next door and compete with the big boys over there. It's 3 tournaments at they're steep. They're like $1,000 entry fees, a lot of money on the line, and Jordan Lee's in there, Matt Lee's, Clint Davis, Swindle, like all those guys are competing in it. So it should be some hammers for sure.
Yeah.
Starts out at Lake next year. Should be a lot of fun.
Well, Matt, we are coming down to Gadsden, Alabama, with Bass University here in just a few months.
Well, I've been waiting on an email to confirm because I've been the last 2 years and I didn't know if COVID was going to throw a wrench in it. So as soon as I get that email, I'll make sure to purchase my tickets.
Well, we've got wrenches, we've got hammers, we've got all kinds of things getting thrown into the mix. And
for sure,
and right now it appears that the state of Alabama is going to permit us to have a Bass University event. And so we are, you look for something within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll do it.
Are announcing that, and we're going to open up the ticket window, and we hope to see you there. And
you'll see me.
I really appreciate you hanging out with us. It was a pleasure to have you on Zoom tonight.
No problem. I definitely appreciate it, you guys. I try to watch as much as I can.
Awesome. Well, it's great to
have you. We know you do.
Take care of that Lake for us.
We'll do it, man.
All right, buddy. We'll catch up with you in a couple months.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Bass UTV subscriber Matt Lane, everybody. How about it?
Yes. That was awesome. I love that. I love this new feature, bringing the subscribers onto the live show, man. This is great, JK.
Yeah, Matt, man, I've known Matt for a few years now. Like he's been around. He posts about watching Bass UTV. He's always showing up, man. He's active on Instagram. He's a realtor. I've learned that about him. And he comes to our Gadsden classes. He's a great guy. Glad that he's in our family.
Excellent. Well, we've got the new Bass University studios going to South Carolina. Maybe one of these guys will move down to Alabama, and they can use Matt to help them find a place.
There we go. There you go, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about it, Rich? Like, what's going on down there? Don't you have some friends in Alabama?
Man, if I was ever going to not be somewhere close to the Chesapeake, it would have to be down there on the Coosa River. I like it down there.
Alabama's the breeding grounds for becoming a professional fisherman or becoming a well-rounded, versatile fisherman. I mean, Aaron Martens did it. Justin Lucas did it. I mean, we could probably list out off 20 residents in Alabama who came from outside of Alabama. And then you got your homegrown talent from Alabama, you know, your Lee brothers and Connells and, you know, Swindles and all that. But Alabama's where it's at, man.
Speaking of Alabama, I want to give some love and prayers and thoughts to our good friend and Bass University instructor, Aaron Martens. And, you know, he's obviously dealing with some medical issues and health issues. And there is a great a benefit auction taking place right now for Aaron. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now. It's up to $47,000 they have raised so far to help Aaron battle cancer, battle his medical bills and all the things associated with that. And you can go over and check that out. It's going on from October 3rd through the 18th. And there's auctions going on right now for a day on the water with KVD, Zona, Jacob Wheeler, Jordan Lee, G-Man. G-Man's up to $4,000 is his bid. Zona at $7,500 and KVD at $6,500 because people are being very generous and they're
Zona's leading it.
Yeah, actually, Zona is leading it. $7,500. He's in the lead. Look at that. A day on the water with Mark Zona.
Not surprising that Zona's leading.
Yeah, so
that's a great day on the water. For
whatever reason, something popped in my head the other day, and I was thinking, well, you know what? It was actually because I was thinking about Aaron, and I was looking at my personal list of like if I could fish with a professional angler, day on the water, and Aaron is and pretty much always was my top pick of a guy that I would absolutely love to, because he's so different, he's so unique, he thinks it differently, he just everything about it, you know, he's just got a very, very different kind of way of going about it. So Aaron was my number one, and then my other two were party guys, Swindle and Zona.
Well, I enjoy, your number one pick. I think Aaron is great and he's also very nurturing. You know what I mean? Yeah. He connects so well, and it would be awesome to spend a day on the water with him. I would agree.
Yeah.
Zona's awesome. He's fun. He's entertaining. He's the best. And
him and Swindle would be a blast.
Yeah.
Probably doing shots or something.
There's no doubt. But Swindle was leading the way there for a while, but some folks have bid it up, and I love that they're bidding so high. Yeah. Obviously, they're bidding so high because they want to donate to this cause. So it's charityauctionstoday.com. I'm trying to find a way to get everybody there, but if I don't have the exact link. We're gonna put it out on social. We're gonna make sure that we direct everybody there. But you can bid on everybody from Jacob Wheeler, Gary Klaus from Phoenix Boats, and MDJ and Brandon Carr, Mullins. You can bid on all these guys. Denny Brower, has pitched in. Coda, Watson. Yeah, Brent Ayler, JT, Bernie Schultz, Justin.
JT would be fun. I'd like to get on the water with JT.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah,
it's like my life goal to shoot a duck, catch a bass, and then drink a beer all on the same day with JT Kenny.
We could probably make that happen.
I'd like you to come over and shoot a squirrel, and then we could go fishing. That would be a perfect day for me, but there's a lot of jerseys. Shin Fukai's got some jerseys. Chris Lane, you guys that are collectors, David Mullins, Andy Montgomery, Mark Rose, all have jerseys up there. And
quit leaving the peanut butter sandwich on your seats, Pete.
Did you order new seats yet?
I had a client out, and he looks at it and he goes, "Boy, for a new boat, these seats sure aren't holding up. I was a little frustrated at that comment, so I've got to get past. It looks like, and Basscat's wonderful this way. They're like, I don't know how to phrase it, but it looks like I can zip out this piece that the squirrels tore up and buy a small skin to replace that component. So I'm excited about that.
Well, good way to shit it up already.
I've been doing good, squirrels. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
squirrels still alive?
Yeah, I'm in a tight neighborhood. Jake got a paintball gun for Christmas. Ooh. And I think that's going to be my. I'm gonna stalk him with a paintball gun.
There you go.
Get him out of here. Hit him on the hiney a little bit. Maybe they'll never come back.
My money's on the squirrel, bro. this is not even a
Hey, we have a like and share contest on Facebook that we want to give a prize out to.
Yes.
Do you have a trivia question, BTC? Tonight?
I do. You guys want to hit that? Let's hit that.
Let's hit that.
All right, here we go. What state record? Nope. Let's go with this one. And by the way, this question is courtesy of the mighty, great, and powerful Ken Duke,
the wizard. Fishing Tackle Retailer. Thank you,
right.
Mr. Duke.
Yep. Only 3 states do not maintain a state record for smallmouth bass. What are they? 3 states do not maintain a record for smallmouth bass. What are they?
I have some guesses.
Okay.
Should we guess? I'm betting number 1 is Alaska.
Hey, dumbass. You're not getting a signed hat now, Pete.
That's all right. I got it.
So we're not guessing, correct? We're waiting until they get it. Right?
No, this is a grand prize for the people.
All right, I'm sending to our group text then because I want to guess. I don't know it.
You see, you gave it away, Brian. Apparently, that's on the list.
What?
You showed your hand, man.
Well, I also sent you the notes with that question and the answer in it. So apparently you didn't read the notes.
I didn't get that deep.
Guess what? Next week you make your own notes.
And we have a winner.
Already?
Yeah.
Wow.
New York Chris. Where's he at?
No, it's not New York Chris.
He changed his name.
It's Grattan Fishing. Congratulations, Grattan Fishing, with the answer of Alaska, Florida, and Louisiana.
That's crazy.
Florida, I thought they did have one. I thought there was like that trivia question from Ken where they stocked them and they caught them and then they all died.
I guess they don't maintain the record.
They don't maintain.
Okay.
You take it up with Ken, bro.
No, it's the wording of the question.
I guessed Alaska, Hawaii, and Louisiana, but Hawaii has smallmouth. How about that?
That's right.
I'm surprised Alaska doesn't have some smallmouth in it.
Really?
Lower southern part of Alaska. You know what I mean? That part that gets a real warm winter. I don't know.
No,
I've heard they have bass now, Riz, because my original, looking into it on Alaska, they didn't have bass. They were one of the states that didn't have bass of any black bass of any kind.
Huh.
And but recently I saw some story where they're having some largemouth or have been stocked or caught up in Alaska, and is a big deal. But
I mean, if they made it their way there naturally, that's pretty incredible.
a little tundra they got to go through to get up there.
Yeah,
a little.
Well, great question, Ken. Great even better answer. And let's go ahead and give out the Facebook like. And if you haven't liked or shared it and you're watching over on Facebook, and that's your last chance, get in there and like and share it. And we're going to be giving away this prize here in just a moment.
Yeah. And by the way, Rich has it shown up yet? Your Sea Clear harness for your electronics?
It has not yet, but I'm extremely excited about getting the Sea Clear harness. There's one headed my way. So, guys, if you're not familiar with what Sea Clear is, Sea Clear is a wiring harness that is designed and optimized to give you the best performance possible on your electronics on your boat, whether you run Humminbirds, Lowrance, Garmin, whatever. C-Clear wiring harness. It uses better gauge wire.
Oh, yeah,
It's protected with shielded coating to prevent interference, and it gives you the absolute optimized voltage to your units at all times. So what that's going to do is it's going to give you a clearer picture. It's going to give you a faster response time, and there's going to be no lag or drop in your sonar. And I don't know about you guys, but nothing bothers me more than when I hit the trolling motor and I get some interference on either my 360 or my or my regular sonar imaging. And that's not to say that the units I run have anything wrong with them at all. It's just the fact that I wired these units in myself. I use cheap wire. I don't know what I'm doing. So C-Clear is sending me a harness to alleviate all that. So if you haven't already, go to cclearpower.com and check out what they have to offer. It's going to give you a better picture on your units to help you catch more fish.
That's right. Pete's running it. I'm
running
on
it.
my little boat. JK,
Nope.
you need to look into it, bud.
Yeah. It's a dedicated harness system that is heavy gauge.
It's really heavy.
And it really optimizes the performance of your sonar unit.
Yeah.
So check it out, cclearpower.com. And shout out to Tom Mix. He said he's bagged 50 bird feeder robbing squirrels since July. So he's my guy.
That's your guy.
That's awesome. I spent a couple full summers in my grandpa's backyard. He would call me and tell me if the squirrels were in the yard. He'd have some corn out there and all for me, and I'd go with my old Hoyt carbon spider and give them the old crucifixion right into the ground, just stake them. And we didn't have any squirrels in Grandpa's garden anymore after that. So, Pete, we might be able to get you squared away if Mount Laurel Township doesn't have a problem with me hanging out in your backyard with a compound bow.
I'm sure they have a problem. You're gonna have to stalk squirrels, before the sun comes up. These squirrels are crazy around here. I mean, they're robbing. Well, I don't want to get into my squirrel problems, but they're robbing trash. They're going nuts. But anyway,
Protesting.
We've got Rich. Give us a Facebook like and share contest winner.
You got it. Let me just take 1 minute here, put it into the randomizer. So, guys, you actually have another second here. I got to put this through. I got to put this through a program to get to the winner. So, if you haven't already, like and share the feed, and you're going to get hooked up with $50 worth of missile jigs and a Flambeau tackle box. Flambeau tackle box, $50 worth of jigs. Come on, and like and share. It's so worth it. It's easy.
And some quivers.
Yeah, and we'll be back next week. Next Tuesday, we'll be back again. Guests to be determined. I kind of like to wait and see how the Elite Series events are playing out, but maybe we can get a winner.
Yeah, that'd be great. If we get another one back to back, that'd be incredible on 3 straight weeks because they go straight to Chickamauga.
Yeah, and big thanks to our guests tonight. It's a long shot to get guys when they're going from one event to the other and they got practice and everything. And, I certainly would understand if he didn't want to, Frank didn't want to come on tonight, but he jumped all over it. So I said, hey man, throwing a Hail Mary here. If you want to do it, I try not to bother these guys on when they're out there practicing or competing or whatever. So again, Frank is, as advertised, man, the nicest guy out there. He really is.
No question about it. No, and we have launched KVD's Jerkbait Fishing Masterclass. He's going to change the way you think about it, guys. All seasons, watercolors. He challenges the conventional thought process on what color water you can get away with throwing this style of bait. And we saw him do it in turn. Well, it was in Mississippi, right, JK?
Ross Barnett.
Barnett.
Jonathan finished 2nd and 3rd jerking dirty water.
Yep, that's just an example of dirty water, and he talks about it, he explains it, and he's going to help us all. It's amazing. So go check that out. We just launched that yesterday, guys, and of course James Watson coming up this week. Topwater And, you know, he's made the Whopper Plopper what it is today. He's brought attention to that bait, that strategy, and he's got a really, you know, great tournament winning philosophy. And you don't want to miss that seminar. It's going to be launched a little bit later on this week. That's all coming this week, or it's happening this week and coming later on this week to Bass University TV. So check it out, guys. Riz, do we have a winner?
Yes, we do. Our winner of tonight's Facebook like and share package is Ronnie Trower from Texas. So congratulations, Ronnie Trower. Thanks for liking and sharing tonight's feed. You won yourself an awesome Missile Baits package, $50 worth of jigs and a Flambeau box. That's headed your way, brother. Flip those jigs down there in Texas and catch you some big bass.
Outstanding. Congratulations on a great prize pack. What a great show. Frank Talley, thank you for making the time and hanging out with us. JK, it's great having you as a co-host tonight, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun, as always. Love geeking out on stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Love talking about chatterbaits and all the trailers. BTC, Riz, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for getting us up and running. Doing a great job tonight.
You got it, man. It was good time, and look forward to being back next week.
Next week, check us out, 7 p.m. Next Tuesday. We're going to be back with another Bass University Live. Go over to bassu.tv. Use the code BASSULive30. Subscribe for 30 days free, guys.
Be like Frank.
Say what?
I said be like Frank.
Be like Frank. Yeah. Wow. I'm still blown away by that. That was an amazing testimonial. Riz, Riz, I did cut that and get it all over the place for us for social media. I know you're on it. But we want to share the message. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week, same time, Bass University Live. Good night, everybody.
Hey guys, Nathan Martin here with Sea Clear Power. The two biggest problems I see that people make when they're installing their marine electronics is their transducer placement and the way that they power their units up. At Sea Clear Power, we have designed and patented the first marine draft wiring harness to run 2 designated lines to your unit. We make sure that your units are getting no voltage drops, no electrical interference, and that's going to do a couple things. It's going to make your unit faster. It's going to make your structure scan pick up faster when you come off pad, and it's going to clear your image up on your units. These are really easy to install. All you have to do is fish a fish tape through your boat, tape it to the long end, the 26-foot run, and pull it all the way to the front of the boat. You'll have another 13-foot run that'll come off at the dash. Once you've pulled your 2 tags out at the front and at the dash, you take your power wire from your units and you simply unscrew the connector, put your ground into the ground side, and put your hot with your fuse into the hot side. At the back, you connect the ground to the ground terminal on the battery and the hot to the on-off switch at the back. And you always want to run it to an on-off switch, and this is why. These units, every brand, they pull a little bit of power even when they're not turned on. So you do not want to be pulling your battery power down while you're trying to charge them up. This Sea Clear Power wiring harness will work on all 4 brands, Lowrance, Humminbird, Garmin, Raymarine. It has 2 20-amp fuses, so you can put up to 4 units on each line as long as you don't have something else that's pulling some amps. If you do, you just change the fuse at the back from a 20 to a 30, and you can put more on each line. You can find us at seaclearpower.com or ask about us at your local marine dealership. We want to help you find more fish and catch more fish, and we look forward to seeing you on the water.